Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And man, do I have an episode for you guys today. You know what I mean? If you've already seen the thumbnail, you already know it's not a game in this one. So I want to address in this video the delusion, detachment from reality, sideshow circus, clown show that has surrounded Bronny James and his being a member of the LA Lakers. But before I jump into any of this content for today, I need you to do me a huge favor. Like this video so that we might, ride along and cruise along Algorithm Avenue, and some folks who may be interested in this kind of content can also find it. Subscribe to the channel as well, man. I am on my road to 100 subs, my first 100 subs. I've been saying this for like the last couple videos or so, and we are literally now just like a few subs away. So let's run amok. You know what I mean? Happy to take this journey with you guys through the independent media space. Again, if this is your first time, kick your feet back, man, and enjoy. I'm not pulling any punches in this one. This will certainly be, unfiltered. But today's episode, I am going to entitle Bronny James, Most Disturbing Clown Show in Sports History. Now, unless you live under like an utter boulder, you know what I mean, or a rock, you are unfamiliar with, Bronny James being drafted number 55 overall by the LA Lakers at the behest of LeBron James, pulling strings to get his son into the league. And, not that was necessarily a bad thing, you know what I mean, in the sense of understanding from a parental, a viewpoint or vantage point that, we as parents want the best for our children, and, we want to give them a leg up if we can give them a leg up. But this circus and sideshow is just kind of spun so ridiculously out of control. And the way that it has been contrived as a story, the narrative that's being created around it, the antics of his handlers, being Rich Paul, being Rob Pelinka, being JJ Redick, and being LeBron James himself, I just think need to be spoken about and having light, shown or shined upon them, because there needs to be some accountability taken here. There was an article published by ESPN just a few days ago that I want to dive into, and I really want to pick this article apart. I'm not going to spend too much time, with the setup here. I want to get into this content. If you guys are ready, you know what I mean? Hopefully you got your water. Let me move this water that I'm not being paid to endorse. And hopefully you got your popcorn ready, man, because this is going to be a good one. I'm not playing no games with these folks here. But let's dive into the content. This article was actually published on October the 8th at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning by Baxter Holmes, Sr., ESPN Senior writer. And the article was entitled, as you see, Set Up for Failure, What Lies Ahead for Bronny James and the Los Angeles Lakers. I'll pause right there because I'm like, man, I was one, shocked, and also very proud of an ESPN writer, you know what I mean, for even taking a shot or stab, you know what I mean, in the dark, or just even, for having the gall and the gumption to share, what was shared in this article, which we'll dive into. So y'all pray for Baxter. Shout out to Baxter for telling the truth and, exposing this ridiculousness. Before I dive into the article itself, I just want to be clear. What I do, typically in these kinds of videos is I'll read through an article, kind of give my opinion on the article, or the information shared in the article after the fact. I'm not doing that in this episode. In this episode, I'm going to stop. This is a very exhaustive piece. So I'm telling you, get your popcorn ready, man. But this is a very exhaustive piece. So it bears that I stop, during to address some of this foolishness and to just kind of point some things out. So it's going to take us a minute to get through the whole thing. But by the time we're done, you'll quite clearly understand exactly what it is that, bothers me the most, and perhaps, where we find common ground and what bothers you about this situation as well. But without further ado, here we go. Rich Paul, sitting on a couch inside his spacious glass-walled corner office in Beverly Hills. It was a warm mid-September afternoon, and he was surrounded by testaments of his success, frame magazine profiles, signed memorabilia, a whiteboard with financial projections, a cart with top shelf tequila and champagne. He pointed to a wall. On the other side of it, Paul told ESPN, was the very spot where just a few months ago, he and Bronny James discussed the decision of whether to stay in college or declare for the NBA draft. Inside that office, Paul said Bronny was signing basketball cards when they began outlining his options. Paul, the CEO of Clutch Sports Group, was blunt. He had canvassed executives from across the NBA and said he told Bronny he was not projected to be a first-round pick in the draft in late June, that he was probably a second-round pick, if that, that he could even go undrafted. Sounds like solid sound advice. Sounds like some stuff based in realism. I have no problem with any of the information shared here. Based on what Bronny did in college, this makes sense, right? It's like, hey man, look, and I've already actually talked to some people, so little bro, looks like, man, you might go undrafted, literally. So what we gonna do? I think the conversation technically should have ended there. The obvious thing was already lingering in the air. The elephant had already been addressed. Nobody's checking for you, nephew. Right? So the make sense thing to do to me would have been to go back to school. All right, episode's over. That's it. We have nothing to talk about. But oh boy. Next up. There had long been chatter about Bronny playing with his father, that LeBron James had influenced the decision that ultimately saw the Los Angeles Lakers pick the younger James in the second round of the NBA draft in some way. Nobody pressured Bronny to go pro, Paul said. Bronny had a choice to stay at USC. He had a choice to transfer somewhere else, or he had a choice to go pro. This was Bronny's call, Paul said, and Bronny's alone, and one that publicly and privately drew immediate criticism. Bro, now here you are sitting in one breath telling this young brother that, hey man, look, I've already talked to a bunch of scouts and executives here in the league, and looks like you might go undrafted. Like nobody's checking for you in the first round, especially. And so that's solid advice from an advisor, from a handler, from somebody who cares about you, cares about your career, has your best interest in mind. Being Rich Paul, who said that was his position, or that's relative a story situation that actually happened. And then you outline for us that nobody pressured him to do this. No, this was his decision. What kind of advice, what kind of adults are you guys to allow this kid, if it was just his decision, to make this kind of a call that doesn't benefit him? That decision didn't benefit Bronny James, the basketball player. Not one heaping bit. Let's keep going. Since the end of the summer league in late July, during which Bronny averaged 7 points on 32.7% shooting, along with 3.5 rebounds and 1.5 assists in 6 games. He traveled to Paris to watch his father win his third Olympic gold medal for Team USA. He's worked out with Philadelphia 76ers guard Tyrese Maxey and Cleveland Cavaliers guard Darius Garland. Put a pin in that. Remember those names. Paul said Rob Pelinka, the Lakers' vice president of basketball operations and general manager, has told him that Bronny has been a fixture at a team's practice facility in El Segundo, California, that Bronny is the first one in the gym to work with the team's player development staff, and that he has worked to shake off the rust. He played only 25 games at USC last season after surviving a sudden cardiac arrest in July 2023. So here this little brother is working out with actual NBA pros, actual guards who played up the position that he's going to have to play. He ain't working out with just anybody. He's working out with Tyrese Maxey and Darius Garland, making a name for themselves in this NBA. I know for certain you guys don't think that these are the first pros that he's ever worked out with. As I remember Gilbert Arenas reporting that LeBron reached out to him directly and said, hey, man, while Bronny was in high school, like, hey, I want you to work Bronny out. So this is Gilbert, a former NBA player. He said in his own words. You can go back and find the video on YouTube. I'm certain that it's out there. But he said he got Bronny in the gym. And then he gave some remarks and some comments about Bronny that haven't manifested into reality. They haven't. You know what I mean? But the reality is he's always had access to the best trainers to basketball at a different from a different vantage point than the average young player coming up. To be able to work out with all of these individuals, and now to be able to work out at the Lakers practice facility with the player development staff. We should see some fruits of this kid's labor. Oh, but the cardiac arrest they bring up. Let's keep going. At Media Day on September 30th, LeBron and Bronny posed for photos together as teammates. They sat side by side during an interview with the team's television partner, ribbing each other about a play the previous week at practice when LeBron drove baseline and scored on his son. Sitting in front of rows of reporters, Bronny twice referenced the criticism about his decision to go pro. He said he wanted to tune out all the noise and tune out all the people that didn't think I should be here, and that he wanted to turn all the criticism and backlash into fuel. Good luck, little bro. During a 118-114 preseason loss Sunday night against the Phoenix Suns, Bronny and LeBron made history when they became the first father-son duo to share the court in an NBA game. In 16 minutes, LeBron scored 19 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Bronny, who was celebrating his 20th birthday, missed his only shot attempt, the three-pointer, while committing 4 turnovers in 13 minutes and 25 seconds of action. Let me back up. On Sunday, during a preseason loss against the Phoenix Suns, Bronny and LeBron made history of becoming the first father and son duo to take the court, share the court in the NBA. Who cares? Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. And it's not that it's not that big of a deal. It's just that the way that this has been done has kind of watered it down. And then, even still, it's not that big of a deal. Because what are we going to do? We're going to shut the game down and stop the game for the rest of the season every time Bronny and LeBron take the court together? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Seriously, it's a sideshow. It's really annoying. Already, it's annoying. How many headlines are we going to have to read about this? Bullshit. Crazy. Back in his office, Paul defended Bronny time and time again. Bronny is serious, Paul said. This isn't a fucking game for him. He wants to play in the NBA, and he wants to play well within his role. He wants to play in the NBA. Hey, man, so did I. So did many. There's there's the thing. You're jealous because Bronny gets to play in the NBA and you don't. I do not. I'm not jealous of Bronny or any fucking body else playing in the NBA. But wanting to play in the NBA, and then he goes on to say wants to play in the NBA and wants to play well in his role. That's the problem. Is that the kid is just not NBA good enough. He's not a good basketball player for this level. He's just not. Catch him at LA Fitness. Bronny might get you out of business. You want him to drop some buckets on you, dunk on you, sign your t-shirt afterwards, catch him at the local LA Fitness. But in the NBA, the upper echelon league of basketball, shout out to Cube. This ain't the big three, though. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the prestigious basketball leagues and circuits around the country. This ain't that. This is the NBA, bro. This is where the best 450 players are assembled to play a game. That kid is not one of them. And it's showing through his constant play on the court, despite how many people he's working out with. And this is not, again, a thing where he got drafted and all of a sudden they're saying, yo, let's get him to work with some of these trainers. Let's get him to work with some of these people. Let's get him to work with some of these players. Let's get us access and exposure to these people his whole entire life. His whole entire life as a young basketball player. And it has manifested into nothing solid or substantial that we can visually see, like our eyes are telling lies to us and we can't understand what we're saying. Get the fuck out of here. So annoying. Others around the NBA, even those who praise Bronny as a person and boast about the numerous intangibles he possesses that they'd want in a player, remain skeptical. The expectations for Bronny by the fan base and by LeBron and Rich Paul are not commensurate with the reality of his game. Let me read that quote again. The expectations for Bronny by the fan base and by LeBron and Rich Paul are not commensurate with the reality of his game, one Eastern Conference executive said. If they had any real idea of how far Bronny is, they just would not have done this. That is a professional. That is an Eastern Conference executive for one of the teams. Man, if you can't take my word for it, and I'm a hater, this dude's a professional. In this league that I'm talking about, in this league that we watch, that has showcased nothing but the best of the best over the years, in this league where a meritocracy of having earned your way into this league matters most as a story, and creates a narrative on its own that media, newspaper, print publications, other print publications, or individuals on TV in the mainstream media don't have to reach to try to create. It is what it is when we can see it. But when we can't see it, man, we can't see it. But the narrative has only deepened. In interviews with nearly 24 front office executives, coaches, and scouts across the league, those who for years have tracked Bronny's journey to the NBA, those who for years have tracked Bronny's journey to the NBA, those who for years have tracked Bronny's journey to the NBA, a two-part consensus has emerged that Bronny James, the most famous second-round pick in league history, not only isn't ready for the NBA, but was also drafted by the one team that presents the most challenging dynamic for him to succeed. That the daily cacophony of noise surrounding him on the Lakers will be both deafening and defeating. And that the feel-good storyline of Bronny James playing alongside his father will soon give way to the reality of Bronny James, the NBA player. Bronny James, the NBA player. Didn't say Bronny James the bum. Didn't say Bronny who can't hit a shot. Didn't say Bronny who doesn't have athleticism. Didn't say the Bronny that cannot jump high. Didn't say the Bronny that might not be able to run fast. Didn't say the Bronny who might be able to play defense in stretches. It said Bronny, the NBA player. He's just not an NBA player. Back during the summer, Jaylen Brown was sitting courtside of the summer league game, and they literally had the camera on him. Here you are, he's sitting with Angel Reese and his girlfriend, I believe, or fiance. I'm not sure what their relationship is, but he was caught mouthing, Bronny ain't a pro. And that was just his honest assessment looking recent NBA champion. I mean, a definite qualified to talk that talk as a present NBA star, finals MVP. You know what I mean? Like all-star. Dude is good, a good basketball player. Assessing what he sees, he says, Bronny ain't a pro. Oh man, you would have thought he said, take Bronny out back and hang him. Let's shoot him. You know what I mean? Like the way that people reacted to this was so crazy. And then he even went on to issue an apology. That was really weird. I was really shocked that he would even do that. Like, I think he was just trying to kind of clarify that he had no ill will or meant no ill will, which I can understand. But bro, he spoke no lies. I'm not saying Bronny can't play basketball, bro, but on this level, he's not a pro. He's just not a pro. Not on this level. Maybe overseas, maybe in China, but not here. Not here. You were set up for failure, one Eastern Conference scout who has evaluated Bronny for years said. It's like, what's the expectation here? From the sideline, a veteran NBA scout watched Bronny move across Wintrust Arena in Chicago. It was May 14th, the start of the NBA Combine, and 6 television cameras trailed his every move. I was absolutely shocked, the scout said. The scout knew the then 19-year-old's lineage commanded global attention and intense intrigue. He had watched Bronny play for Sierra Canyon School in Los Angeles. He had watched him play at the 2023 Nike Hoop Summit in Portland, Oregon. He had watched him play during his freshman season at USC, where Bronny averaged 4.8 points on 36.6% shooting from the field and 26.7 on three-pointers, plus 2.8 rebounds and 2.1 assists. Sound a lot like the earlier stats that I read in this article from the Summer League. Man, the great philosopher Jay-Z said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. Bronny is showing us exactly who he is as a basketball player. Am I suggesting that a kid that young, as a rookie, won't get better? Nope. It's my argument for Angel Reese, as people dragged her all season long about what she can't do. She misses all these shots, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, she's a rookie. Calm down. She'll get better. I feel the same way about Bronny. But right now, Bronny's not showing us anything that would even remotely suggest that he's an NBA caliber basketball player. Just let any Joe Schmo in off the street to be disrespect of a game that upper. What's going on here? Come on, bro. Now I want to go back and say something to you, like just really quickly about the NBA Combine, because this article just kind of broached that subject. It was Mark Spears, I believe, on ESPN, or kind of sitting in, reporting that he had been in contact with a couple folks who were in Vegas, and he's like, man, hey, like I asked some questions, bro, and this is what I'm hearing right now about Bronny James and what they have observed of him in this combine after his workouts. And they basically said the same things that are being echoed in this article. He's just not ready. I don't see an NBA player here. He should go back to school. He should get some more time to develop himself as a player. Maybe later down the line. I don't know, but not right now. Not right now. But more than that, he said, Bronny is LeBron's son, and if he is anything remotely close to the once in a generation player that his father is, then Bronny, at the very least, warranted a look. You see, this statement to me is really annoying. Bronny is LeBron's son. And if he's anything remotely close to the once in a generation player that his father is, he's a once in a generation player. So Bronny ain't going to be nowhere near close to his dad. Many players in the NBA are nowhere near close to his dad as a once in a generation caliber of player. Bronny warrants a look, but how much looking do we need to do? The first time that we saw LeBron, we knew that LeBron James was special as a basketball player. We could see it. We looking at Bronny like, where's that? It ain't him. He's not that guy, yo. Sorry. I wouldn't be doing my job as an evaluator if I didn't write a report that person says. As the scout watched Bronny, he began to take notes. Bronny was humble, he noted, appeared to be coachable, played unselfishly, that he had the reputation of having a strong work ethic and a high basketball IQ, that he was well built physically and a good athlete. It noted Bronny played hard, played the right way, that he was a good teammate, that he cared, and he had great character, that he loved the game. It said that Bronny can tie his shoes, that Bronny can put his clothes on neatly. He keeps his shirt tucked in. Oh my God, he's always smiling. Look at him. He's attentive. It said that Bronny is he talks to his teammates nicely in a nice tone. It said he can sip water from the water bottle without getting extra on his face. Come on, bro. What are we talking about here? What the report didn't say was that Bronny was an NBA prospect. At best, he was a secondary one. I keep hearing all these terms being thrown around nowadays, like two-way player. He's a secondary. What a secondary project? What is this? Either you are or you are not. Either you can play offense and defense or you cannot. Either you are a basketball player or you are not. I don't understand this weirdness. Would you guys knock it off already? Seriously. At best, he's a secondary one. Someone you have on your radar, but not a priority. Then that doesn't make him a secondary. That makes him makes him nobody. He's on your radar, but you know what I mean. He ain't no priority. Like he's not a consideration if you're not considering him. For the ideal intangibles that Bronny possessed, he was lacking in talent. Was Bronny an NBA player? Not right now, the scout said, echoing multiple other front office executives and scouts. Would Bronny ever be an NBA player? The scout wasn't sure, nor were those same league sources. What complicated matters further was Bronny's medical history. He had lingering effects from the surgery to address his congenital heart defect, he'd said, affecting an already abbreviated freshman season. That he had come back to play that fall was impressive, but it also meant any evaluation by NBA officials was incomplete. You know, typically, this is just how it's worked for years, man. I've been watching sports for a very long time, longer than most of you have been alive. And, you know, one thing that I know for certain is that there will be some times where a player might suffer a knee injury that they had surgically repaired, and it would bring their draft stock and value down so low that they all of a sudden you're like, man, this kid was so good in college. Oh, I hate that during the tournament or right before the tournament or whatever it is, he blew his knee, or at some practice, or that's whatever it is, some workout for the NBA, or as soon as he got drafted, and it would just destroy these kids, the prospects and the hopes of their career. So a heart issue is certainly not a thing. I remember players who had irregular heartbeats or heart issues that were being reported that were detected that all of a sudden just fall out of draft stock. Why is it that here's this issue, you want to bring up this issue about, oh, you had this heart thing, but that didn't have him fall out of grace with the NBA because he's LeBron's son. Some of you are thinking, but that's a serious concern. Just keep that in mind. The next day in Chicago, Bronny sat at a table in the corner of the arena for a news conference. He said he wanted to emulate Boston's Derek White and Drew Holiday and Sacramento's Davion Mitchell, three defense-focused guards. Talent evaluators noted the comparisons, saying they represented realism from the young guard. He knows who he is, one scout said. He knows what he can do. 9 minutes into the 20-minute session, the tantalizing storyline was broached. How would Bronny feel about playing alongside his father? I want to go back to something really quick. When Mark J. Spears, like I said, reported on what the scouts were saying about Bronny James, they threw in a comp that he was comparable to a poor man's Davion Mitchell. Until I read this article, I did not know that Bronny actually spoke that out of his mouth himself, sitting in front of those media folks and executives in Chicago during the combine. So even young Bronny is spinning a little narrative, right? Interesting. Interesting. The context centered on his father's 2022 comments to The Athletic. My last year will be playing with my son. LeBron walked that remark back in 2023, telling ESPN he wanted to share the court with his son, either in the same uniform or a matchup against him. Either way, LeBron had made his desires clear. Bronny distanced himself from the idea. Why would he do that? My dream has always been to put my name out, make a name for myself, and of course, get to the NBA, which is everyone's end goal that is here, Bronny said. I never thought about just playing with my dad, but of course, he's brought it up a couple times. Reporters laughed. Like, yes, he certainly has. He wouldn't let it go, making ridiculous comments like, Bronny definitely better than most of these players I'm watching tonight on League Pass. Shit, lightweight hilarious. LOL. A clown, bro. It's crazy. It's wild. Reports that he literally he made a comment after a game a season or two ago that Bronny could play on the LA Lakers on that team right now and help out. And help out. And help how? It's just too bad that that Bronny had to take a year at USC, huh? And he couldn't bring that almost 5 points a game. The Lakers were losing games by like a little 5 points that Bronny could have helped to add. Out of here. Get out of here. Bronny added later. I just want to have people know my name is Bronny James and not being identified as just LeBron James' son. His comments carried an unmistakable but impossible aim to forge a path outside the shadow of his father. Let me back up for a second. Let me just say, man, I don't have any ill feelings or wish anything bad on Bronny, bro. I am not a Bronny James hater. If you go back and you watch the video that I produced, or I had a number of videos that I just kind of condensed all into one, taking a deeper look into the Bronny files. It's on my channel. I'm Team Bronny. I'm go Bronny go here. but it's just it's only so much you can say. I can excuse some things, bro, but after a while, it just starts to get. It's like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? But I want to be clear in saying that I don't dislike Bronny James. I'm not a Bronny James hater. The point of this art of this episode even is not to go in on Bronny and to destroy his confidence or to destroy his character in any. That's not the aim here. So I just want to be clear in saying that before I start getting some folks comment like, you a hater. Fuck you. During the scrimmage the next day, LeBron sat in the second row at center court wearing a black hoodie next to his wife and Bronny's mother, Savannah, to watch Bronny play in a scrimmage. Bronny played well, scoring 13 points on 4 of 10 shooting in 23 minutes. He was named player of the game and, wearing a headset, did a post-game interview on the ESPN broadcast while his mom recorded the moment on her phone. LeBron looked on with pride, smiling from ear to ear. Keep in mind, this is the Chicago Combine scrimmage where all this fake news being propagated by ESPN on their broadcast, they're trying to get the word out like, hey, man, people saying he ain't ready. Marcus Spears kept it real. But then ESPN wouldn't relent from making every moment about Bronny. He's like, oh, my God, he did good at something. Like, he's player of the game for a scrimmage. 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 You guys ever played sports? Have any of you ever played sport, like organized sports? Or a scrimmage? That's like us going out even to play pickup out here on your favorite court. Your favorite. You just invite me to your favorite spot to hoop. And after the game, we all get together like, man, that was a good game, fellas. So, man, let's go ahead and choose a player of the game. Like, what are we talking about? 2 weeks later, on May 29th, Paul told ESPN, Rich Paul told ESPN, what the fuck is going on with ESPN? Outside of Baxter here, man, this ESPN media machine needs to be destroyed. I'm just gonna say it, bro. I'm sick of the trolling. They have become the biggest trolls in sports media with the way that they cover sports, supposedly being the worldwide leader in sport. These analysts, not all of them. So I don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that guy. But most of it, it's clownish, it's foolishness, it's foolery, and it is propaganda laden. It needs to stop. Paul told ESPN that Bronny will be keeping his name in the NBA draft. It was a decision several front office executives and scouts privately and quickly denounced as a mistake. It was a decision that several front office executives and scouts privately and quickly denounced as a mistake, saying Bronny needed more time to develop, that he wasn't ready for the professional game. These are scouts and league front office executives. That is what they do. They go out, they scout talent. They then hire this talent and pay this talent to do the thing. They're like, yo, bad move. Not ready. He needs to go back to school. This ain't good. They're saying it in their professional opinion. I don't think they hate us. They have no reason to hate. This is how they make money. The whispers quickly crescendoed into conventional wisdom. He should have stayed in school, one Western Conference executive said, no doubt about it. In a normal world, he would have been a really good 4-year college player, one Eastern Conference scout said. For this whole thing to have even made it this far is surreal, another Western Conference executive said. Bro, for this whole thing to have even made it this far is surreal. They're like, what is our league becoming? What is going on here? Analytically, if you just had the numbers on a page and had no name attached to it, he doesn't project in any way, shape, or form to be an NBA player. His measurables don't project as an NBA player. His measurables don't project as an NBA player. When we are looking at players play the game, we are viewing their measurable skills against their peers. And we're saying, just as quick, well, that boy can dribble too. Oh, he got a little razzle dazzle with him too. Oh, he has the ability to use that right and that left hand. Can shoot with both of them. Got a little grit in there. Measurables. This kid's measurables. They aren't there. There's literally nothing about him on paper if no name is attached to it that makes this make sense. Other executives and scouts said they didn't think Bronny was good enough to be drafted even late in the second round, but understood the allure. It's like, man, look, I don't think the kid is good enough to be drafted in the third round if we create a third round. But I understand. I get it. It's going to help to sell some tickets. If that's your aim here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, all right. I understand the allure of being like, oh, we got Bronny James on the thing, but no. That he was LeBron's son carried enormous weight, but not necessarily in a bad way, another Eastern Conference executive said. It's not just the name. It's not just that he's LeBron James's son. It's that he was raised by LeBron James, the executive said. If anybody takes a gamble on Bronny James, they're getting the most incubated basketball player ever. He's not going to embarrass your franchise ever, the executive added. He's going to work his fucking ass off because what LeBron James will never tolerate is any intel that his kid isn't a hard worker. What? You saying Bronny just can't eventually develop into his own person that just becomes a fuck up? That's weird. Or his daddy ain't going to stand for that. Well, clearly his daddy is going to stand for getting him in the league that he doesn't deserve to be in. LeBron's son is an identity unto itself, one from which to escape and another into which to lean. Because of Bronny's lineage, the conversation around his career will be discussed solely as a binary, another Eastern Conference executive said. On one side of it, Bronny will reach the league only because he was LeBron's son, or he wouldn't because he wasn't good enough, which would mean he was a bust and fell short of his father's greatness. I'm going to go back and read this because this is almost like one of those, like the crux of information being shared. On one side of it, Bronny will reach the league only because he was LeBron James's son, or he wouldn't, on the other hand, because he wasn't good enough, which would mean he was a bust and fell short of his father's greatness. Had LeBron not stepped in, Bronny doesn't get drafted. He's looked at like a bust. Maybe if Bronny goes back to school, legitimately earns his keep, sharpens his skill sets, gets better, gets drafted, it's a much better story. If he doesn't get drafted, then he's not good enough to be drafted. Then he's considered a bust and he fell short of his father's greatness. We don't expect Bronny James to be his father. To say that anybody is going to be like LeBron is weird. LeBron is one of one. He's LeBron James. It's the same reason I have an issue with the Michael Jordan comparisons. If he was like, Michael Jordan is one of one. Just celebrate whoever it is that's in front of us. Let's stop trying to reach back and make a person somebody else. We cannot reach back or reach forward and make Bronny James or Bryce James their dad. For whatever they do, if they get it, I don't see why Bryce wouldn't get into the league, but for whatever happens during their career, it is their body of work. It is their evidence. It is their legacy being carved out. It is not their daddy. Knock it off. This is the biggest issue with having Bronny in this league right now. Who cares? It's annoying. I don't care to have the comparisons and the it's his dad. Oh, he's not like his dad. Oh, it's like it's too much. It's weird. We know he ain't his daddy. We can see it. That's unfair to a kid who's otherwise a pretty good basketball player, that executive said. There needed to be room for a middle ground, he said, a path in which he spent years in the G League, potentially developing into an NBA reserve player, a defensive specialist. Maybe he played for a few teams. Maybe he played for a few years. Maybe that's all his NBA career would be. In my previous videos, on that point literally made by this NBA executive, I said that they are robbing Bronny James of an opportunity. His handlers are robbed. This whole process, this whole circus clown show is robbing Bronny James of an opportunity to carve out a good narrative around his desire and his growth as a basketball player, his desire to play in the NBA, his journey, and then his perhaps ultimate being selected for a team, even if it's just like, oh, he still ain't that good, but you know what I mean? Like a team drafted him, but LeBron James didn't have his hands directly in it. It was reported draft day that Rich Paul was, or second day, Rich Paul was reaching out to organizations saying, don't you draft Bronny. Don't you draft him. If you drafted me going over to Australia to play, hands off. Weird. Weird for a person that might not get drafted at all. But if people want to take a flyer on the kid, now you're telling them don't draft him because if we're going to send him overseas, and we all understand he's not ready. But a path could be carved out for him for development. But that same G League development could have taken place in college where he gets a chance to actually get the reps, actually gets a chance to play. Not sitting on the end of the LA Lakers bench, being sent down to the G League or over to play G League games and then coming back over to the Lakers and going back, going and coming. Does development need to look the way that I want it to look in order for it to be legitimate? No, it does not. But we still don't have to snatch this kid out of college and throw him into a league that he doesn't deserve to be in for pictures and a circus show. It's fucked up. Really is. And that's totally fine, the executive said. Even the path that other talent evaluators said wouldn't be easy. There are great guys in the G League, but they do not want to be in the G League, one Western Conference scout said. They want to be in the NBA, and some of whom are in their mid to late 20s. All of them are trying to put food on their table for their families, and whatever that takes, they're going to do. I think his last name will be thrown out the window. When Bronny made his USC debut in December against Long Beach State, Pelinka sat courtside. He later said doing so was a sign of support for LeBron, who told Pelinka he hoped Pelinka was scouting Bronny too, ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported. Internally, insiders say the Lakers believe Bronny played the game the right way. Here we go again. He played the game the right way. And could be molded over time into a 3-and-D specialist. Could be molded over time into a It's going to take some time to develop him. Sure, that works both ways. So yeah, Q, relax, get all the kids back. It's going to take him a couple years of development to maybe a solid NBA player. And like, that's the point. That is the point. That's why I'm saying he didn't have to be in this league right now, getting guaranteed money. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? It's weird. Drafting Bronny will be a basketball decision, those insiders said, but only in part. The Lakers are famously a franchise that cares deeply about star players, both in acquiring them and accommodating them. They knew LeBron had a dream to one day play with his son. It was all part of the calculus. After Bronny's individual workout with the team on June 13th, the Lakers had decided with near certainty to draft him. And there wasn't much disagreement, team insiders say. Bronny represented a low-risk, high-reward pick who checked several boxes for the franchise. It would be a compelling story and a chance at history, and the Lakers have long been an organization that prioritizes both. Clown show. But drafting Bronny wouldn't come without complications, one Lakers insider said, a sentiment shared by executives and scouts across the NBA. The head coach would face almost daily questions about Bronny, multiple team and league sources said. Every minute of his on-court performance in practice and in the G League will be heavily scrutinized. If Bronny struggled, the Lakers' global fan base combined with LeBron's would target the franchise with endless criticism. Questions would surface about whether the team was properly developing him, how it was doing so, what more it could be doing. If Bronny succeeded, questions would flow the other direction about him receiving more of an opportunity, all within a shrinking timeline of a father and son playing NBA basketball together. It's a shit show. It doesn't matter how you play it. It could be like, damn, he ain't good enough, he ain't ready, let's send him to the G League. Well, damn, well, are y'all developing him properly? Because I'm thinking with all the stuff, the diets and the trainers, and he should be much better by now. How is your development program actually designed? How's it set up? How effective is it? Scrutiny. Bronny's playing decent. Like, y'all ain't playing him enough. He's developing into a decent player, and y'all won't even give him minutes now. What's going on? Shit show. Shit show. The worst possible situation for him to develop, a Western Conference executive said. If I was on the Lakers staff, I would do anything not to be the one tasked with developing Bronny because he's not going to make tangible progress that'll show up in the good stat lines or anything. One Eastern Conference executive noted. Even if you do a good job getting him better, his performance will be a disappointment to the fans. I think it'll be more of a challenge for the team that drafts him than it will be for him. The day before the NBA draft, Bronny joined his father and his younger brother Bryce at a Manhattan gym inside a luxury residential complex. The space is frequented by NBA players, including LeBron, who went through a series of drills with his sons. They launched three-pointers and soared through the air for dunks. Look, we can dunk. Look, we can shoot the ball and make some shots. Everybody can. I set my camera up and just go out there and just shoot on the court and just clip the ones that look good. And then y'all be like, dang, he still got it. At 47, this dude can still play ball. Wouldn't dare jump on a court and run up and down it for hours and hours and hours at a time at this age and stage of my life. Like, still trying to relive my 20s because that's just not realistic. But I can clip some shit and make it look good. Bronny wasn't one of the prospects invited to the green room on either day of the first year. The NBA draft was split over 2 days. This LaJoker wasn't even invited to the green room to sit and be present when his name was called for either day, for either the first or the inaugural second round of the second day of second round draft picks being called. He wasn't even invited to be present. This shows you how much the league didn't even respect that this kid was about to. Instead, Bronny, family, and close friends watched the second round from a private dinner party in New York. Paul joined them, as did LeBron's mother, Gloria. As the Lakers' 55th pick neared, ESPN's analyst Bob Myers, a former general manager of the Golden State Warriors, reported during the broadcast that Paul had been calling teams and telling them not to select Bronny, and that if they did, he would play in Australia instead. It was a naked and deft attempt to steer Bronny to the Lakers. Keep the foolishness. Inside the Lakers training facility, because Bronny's decision and Bronny's decision alone, Rich Paul said. That's what he told us in the article earlier. That was his direct quote. Inside the Lakers training facility, a number of executives in Pelinka had gathered in a conference room. A day earlier, the team had drafted Tennessee swingman Dalton Knecht with its first-round pick, and there was a little suspense inside the war room about whom. Little suspense inside the war room about whom the team would be taking at pick number 55. One Lakers insider said. When the moment arrived, Lakers executives in the room stood and applauded. Newly hired Lakers coach J.J. Redick and Pelinka hugged and shook hands. Back in New York, a full-suited Bronny sat on a couch facing a flat-screen television airing the draft. Paul sat next to him. Bronny looked at the screen as Mark Tatum, the NBA's deputy commissioner, announced his name. Yes, sir, yes, sir, his brother Bryce said as he recorded the scene. Surrounded by friends and family, Savannah handed Bronny a Lakers hat and wiped a tear from her eye. Bronny placed it on his head as highlights from his time at USC aired in front of him. He looked down at his hands, took a deep breath, and closed his eyes. LeBron stood behind him, beaming. When Bronny was about 5 or 6, LeBron had watched him play in a youth league in Akron, Ohio. He remembered Bronny grabbing a rebound, driving the length of the court, through the lane, through a couple of kids, laying it in, and trotting back down court. LeBron turned to Savannah. He's special, he told her. What? He's 5 years old. What are you talking about? He recalled her responding. I've seen this before, he said. I know. I've seen this before. Bro, that would be a really good narrative, a really good piece of the story if Bronny had, because of his talent and his season at USC, been heavily touted as an NBA prospect, and then would have gone on to be drafted into the league, would have rode as much fanfare as he did from high school into college, and then would have been drafted into the NBA. That would have been a great story for LeBron. And then he was like a standout. We could clearly see it. We could just be like, yo, this dude, he really can hoop. He really got it. That would be a great story for LeBron. Say, I saw it at 5 or 6. I'm like, man, we could see like he's him, but he's not him. On the night Bronny was drafted, LeBron brought the story back up to Savannah. He said during an appearance with the team's broadcast partner, Spectrum Sports Net, she remembered it. Even LeBron in the telling of his story, again, it's this attempt to create this narrative and to spin this narrative like I knew he was going to make it to the NBA. I saw it at 5 or 6, y'all. I knew. I told his mom, man, that this boy's special. He's only in the NBA because you pull strings to get him into the NBA. So this story actually sounds fucking ridiculous to be shared now. Really fucking ridiculous, honestly. The biggest moments in sports happen with the Lakers, Pelinka said afterwards to reporters. That's how we're built, and we're excited to see this story unfold. Let the fucking clown show begin. On July 2nd, 10 television cameras on a raised platform focused their lens on Bronny, who sat in front of a black backdrop covered with Lakers logos. He was at the Lakers training facility for an introductory news conference for the team's draft picks, which included the 6'6" Connect. In the front row to one side, 10 seats had been reserved for guests. Savannah and Rich Paul sat on the far end near the aisle. Off to the side, on an opposite course, so LeBron, with his arms crossed in a black hoodie, gray shorts, and sneakers. Everything has been surreal, Bronny told the assembled media. I'm trying to take it all in. I'm extremely grateful for everything that JJ and Rob have given me. I've just been extremely excited to get to work. Redick, sitting beside Bronny, interjected, "You bitch ass nigga." Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this right, Redick said. Bronny talks about his hard work. Bronny has earned this through hard work. And for us prioritizing player development, we view Bronny as like case study 1 because his base level of field, athleticism, point of attack defender, shooting, passing, there's a lot to like about his game. Fuck you, JJ Redick. So look, I wanna like this. I had this sound clip in one of my previous videos, and this really annoyed me when I heard him say this because he went out of his way while Bronny is displaying this humility and this gratitude for having been drafted, for having been extended this opportunity from Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick now, who's going to take on the role of being the one responsible for developing him and making sure that he gets to, some point that is optimal for the Lakers to not feel like they wasted their fucking time with this draft pick, right? But he went out of his way to jump over Bronny's comments and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Rob and I didn't give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this. What? Earned it where? Earned it how? Earned it where? Earned it when? Earned it how? He did not. And so that really, really, really annoyed me. And then further, his comments, just pissed me off, bro. Bronny talks about his hard work. JJ says, Bronny has earned this through hard work. He ain't worked hard enough. It's clear because his game's not good. His overall basketball game is not good. He hasn't worked hard enough on that game. And maybe he has worked as hard as he possibly can. And he's just still not good enough. And that's okay. Maybe he has. He has worked extremely hard. And he just can't get, he's hit a ceiling. He just can't get any better than all the hard work has gotten him to this point. He's worked so hard, he can't get any better than that. That's his ceiling. But that doesn't say, man, he's worked as hard as he can. Like, let's just go ahead and give it to him. That's not how it works in the real world. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Bronny has earned this through hard work. And for us, prioritizing player development, the Lakers ain't never prioritized player development. LeBron James has sought to get rid of every single young basketball player on the roster with the LA Lakers since he arrived. All of a sudden, he's high on having young players around him. He's made statements in the last couple of weeks like, yeah, man, I just love being around the young players. They give me life. You got rid of Lonzo. You got rid of Julius Randle. You got rid of Brandon Ingram. You got rid of your whole young core. But all of a sudden now we're supposed to believe that the Lakers are into developing young players. Who have they developed? Any Laker fan, any basketball fan, anybody who have the Lakers developed? Who have they developed? Tell me about this wonderful player development program that the Lakers have had in place that shows that, man, the Lakers can develop some players. And if you're like, you can tell me like anybody who could tell, I will point to the Miami Heat. I'll point to the Miami Heat. People snatched all their little unsung, undrafted players. Gabe Vincent, one of them. The Lakers couldn't wait to sign him. Max Strus is now playing for somebody else outside of Miami. You know what I mean? There's several of them. So my point is, the Lakers are not known as a player development operation or an outfit. They just are not. This is bullshit. But for us, prioritizing player development, we view Bronny as like case study one. God damn. That validates my point. Case study one. He'll be the first person, the first case. And we're gonna put our white coats on and our doctor coats, and we're gonna look at some clipboards and some footage, and we're gonna get him in the lab, and we're gonna make him better. Case study one. Because his base level of feel. You know what base means? Base. It's just very, very minimal. He's got a general understanding. His base level. Base level of feel, athleticism, point of attack defender, shooting, passing. There's a lot to like about his game. Yeah, at LA Fitness. Yeah, at LA Fitness in the church league. You know what I mean? Like, on the NBA. Reddick's emphasis on player development will represent a dramatic shift for a Lakers franchise that for decades has focused on superstars, getting them, pleasing them, keeping them. For the Lakers, player development hasn't been so much an afterthought as simply unnecessary. But league executives note Bronny could overhaul the Lakers' long-held ethos. By selecting Bronny, the Lakers will be forced into heavily investing in and developing a late second-round pick, because doing so will mean satisfying that original ethos, accommodating their biggest star. Excuse me. He's going to have more resources for a late second-round pick than anyone in NBA history. Because of LeBron, one Western Conference executive said he's going to have the best trainer, the best dietitians, the best player development people, the best everybody. Second rounders are often treated like a dime a dozen. They're not given proper attention. That won't be him. He will have every opportunity. The question is, what does he do with it? No, the question is, what has he done with all the opportunities that he's had prior to? Because this ain't new. I'm gonna reread this article, that paragraph from that executive as it should read. He has had more resources than any second round draft pick in NBA history. He already has had these resources before being drafted in the second round. His daddy is a billionaire basketball player. He's had the best trainers. He's had the best dietitians. He's had the best player development people. I pointed out the Gilbert Arenas thing. The article pointed out that he's worked out with Tyrese Maxey, present NBA star, and also Darius Garland, rising NBA professional. Guards in the NBA holding their own, doing the thing. It's crazy, bro. Crazy. So annoying. It's ridiculous. It really is. Back to the lectern, Bronny fielded a dozen questions, 6 of which referenced his father, including 4 in a row at one point. The last, asking if he believed it would be easier to transition to the NBA given that he grew up with a father who played in it, he bristled. I had my own basketball stuff going on, Bronny said. So I was really, so I wasn't really, in my dad's pocket all day, following him around the Lakers facility. So I remember when he made that statement during that press conference, the introductory press conference, and I kind of laughed. I was like, no, it's really dope. Bronny has a little personality, has a little sense of humor, and that's cool. It's cool to see. Nobody's questioning his integrity. Nobody's questioning whether this is a nice kid. Nobody's questioning whether he's a nice guy. You know what I mean? Nobody's shitting on him because we just don't like him, or I hate his dad so much. I'm not a LeBron James hater. I happen to have appreciated and respected LeBron James' career. I don't like some of his fucking antics over the years, but I respect what he's done on the court. That alone, I respect that. So I'm not in a space where like I hate him so much, I'm just gonna hate his son too. Like that's weird, bro. But this right here is just it's crazy. At 10 years old, his youth basketball highlights went viral when Bronny created an Instagram page in 2019 and gained 1 million followers in his first day. ESPN again, here we go again with this. ESPN aired his high school games at Sierra Canyon, where LeBron's media company, Uninterrupted, dispatched a documentary crew to film. But as LeBron's career advanced, and as Bronny did the same, the storyline of them playing together in the NBA became even more compelling and inspired relentless debate, which LeBron helped fuel. It hasn't ceased, cementing the conflict of Bronny James, the storyline, and Bronny James, the player. At some point, the rubber meets the road, and you have to actually be a good player, one Eastern Conference executive said. At some point, the rubber meets the road, and you have to actually be a good player. When all the storyline, all the feel good moment of father son playing together goes away, and you actually got to be a good player. You actually have to be a good player. To be in this league, you actually have to be a good player. Bronny's been sitting courtside with his dad all these years. That's been cool. Good for photo ops, etc. We got to put him in a Laker uniform, though, to create some, oh my God, first father and son to ever take the court together. Like, there's going to be this big monumental thing to celebrate and for us to cheer as fans and to have a little tear-jerking moment. And we can't believe that this is actually, who gives a fuck? It's really weird. It's really weird. It could have happened before, but because of the integrity of the league, it hasn't happened. You know, they just kept some old guy around to throw his son in there just because. Pull some strings just to make the thing happen. But for what? For why, though? Seriously, for what? It's not that big of a story. You guys are trying to make this bigger than it actually is. Who gives a fuck? Seriously, it's really weird. It's really weird. It's just constant carving out of narratives and storylines around LeBron James, period, for his career that make it annoying. Really make it annoying. After the news conference ended and reporters filed out, Bronny changed into his number 9 Lakers uniform and headed to a makeshift photo studio at the far end of the court. His father and mother joined him for some portraits. The next day, Bronny signed a 4-year, $7.9 million contract with the Lakers, reaching his rookie deal on the same day his father agreed to an extension with the team. The pairing was set. They will become the first father-son duo in NBA history. Fuck that. A 4-year, $7.9 million guaranteed contract for a player who didn't even average 5 points a game in college is absurd. It is absurd. It's absurd. A $1 million 1-year guaranteed contract would have been like, damn, that's a lot of money to give a person that ain't proved himself in college, worthy of even being in this league, who hasn't shown us anything through combine that would suggest that he's going to be a good player, or is even worth that $1 million. But $7.9 million over 4 years guaranteed is fucking ludicrous. Crazy. With ice packs on his knees, Bronny stood before a group of reporters in the depths of Thomas and Mack Center on the UNLV campus in Las Vegas. It was July 17th, and the Lakers had just earned the first summer league win, 87-86 over the Atlanta Hawks, ending an 0-5 start. In his first summer league games, which included a pair in San Francisco, Bronny had averaged just 4.3 points on 22.6% shooting and missed all 15 of his three-point attempts. Missed all 15 of his three-point attempts. In that span, he totaled the same number of turnovers as made shots, 7. What we saw is what happens when you put a guy who's not really close to ready in these settings, one Eastern Conference executive said. But against the Hawks, who were without 4 starters, including their number 1 overall draft pick, Bronny had his best summer league showing. On the first play of the game, with members of the Lakers ownership group sitting courtside near half court, Bronny curled off a screen and sank a contested 17-foot pull-up jumper, completing a design play and drawing cheers. Later, he switched a wide-open three-pointer from the top of the key. By halftime, Bronny tallied 9 points on 4 of 6 shooting. He sank a contested corner three-pointer to tie the score late in the fourth quarter. He finished with 12 points on 5 of 11 shooting. In every game he played, fans called for him to shoot or drive each time he touched the ball. Every time he passed, they groaned. When he lined up a shot, anticipation swelled across the arena. When he missed, the disappointment seemed to vibrate. When he wasn't in the game, fans chanted, "We want Bronny." When he was, fans chanted, "Bronny." Cameras tracked his every move. Standing before reporters after the win against the Hawks, Bronny acknowledged the unusual environment, saying he leaned on the support of his family, adding that he's just trying to stay sane. That statement, that he's just trying to stay sane. Bronny's actually, he mentioned this a couple times. He mentioned this in that introductory press conference, and he mentioned it here. And he mentioned it a few more times throughout the summer. Just trying to stay sane. I'm just trying to stay sane. This kid kept saying it. So I brought this up in a previous interview because I'm like, who's checking on the mental health of this kid? LeBron was in interviews saying things like, "Man, Bronny don't give a shit. He don't care. He doesn't give a fuck. Bronny just comes home. He goes to the gym, works his ass off. He comes home. He plays video games. He's not even listening to any of the chatter. He doesn't hear any of that shit. He don't care. But he does care. He's trying to stay sane through it because it's a lot. It's a lot, yo. This is a lot to have on the shoulders of a person who's not prepared. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so his handlers need to be more careful about handling this with more care, specific to handling it with the care of this young boy's mental health, yo. It's not cool. It's not cool the way that this is unfolding. I don't like it. The attention on Bronny had been overwhelming and ubiquitous. His likeness greeted travelers from the center of baggage claim carousels at Harry Reid International Airport, where illuminated signage promoted Summer League with it. Tomorrow Stars play here. Bronny was in the foreground along with Alex Sarr, the French center drafted second overall by the Washington Wizards. In the background, there was Victor Wembanyama, the number 1 overall pick from a year before, who had established himself as a potential future NBA MVP, and Jalen Brunson, who had gone from being a second-round pick to a superstar with the New York Knicks. The same league official signage could be seen across a city that, for a 2-week period, represented the beating heart of the NBA, with all 30 teams present to play 76 globally televised games. And when Bronny arrived on the afternoon of July 12th, a phalanx of photographers, videographers, and content creators chronicled his entrance through security on the loading dock. Soon after, as Bronny ran through the tunnel, nearly 3 dozen media members rushed after him toward the baseline, occupying virtually every inch of available real estate. In his final Summer League game, Bronny finished with 13 points on 5 of 10 shooting to go along with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in 25 minutes. The Lakers beat the Cavaliers 93-89, and LeBron shared Bronny's highlights on Instagram. "It's been good for me to loosen up," Bronny said afterwards. Still, multiple scouts and executives who followed Bronny's performance were unmoved from their initial skepticism. There's going to be so much internal pressure for him to come up from the G League, but he shouldn't spend a single minute with the Lakers this year, one Western Conference executive said. During a recent appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, Lakers legend Magic Johnson, formerly the team's president of basketball operations, was blunt. "If I'm Bronny, I would tell my dad, just let me play in the G League all season so that I can develop. He needs playing time. He doesn't need to be sitting on the Lakers bench and not playing," Johnson said. "That's not a knock against him. He's just not ready." How many people have to say it? How many people have to say it before we understand that what we see is actually reality? He's just not ready, guys. In his Beverly Hills office, Paul looked out the window. He'd attended Summer League. He sat courtside, heard all the groans and cheers and chants. That environment for the 55th pick in the draft shows you that it's a new day, Paul said. For our league, this young man just so happens to be not the first, but probably the first impactful influencer / basketball player that happens to be on one of the most historical franchises in NBA history. That statement alone underscores for me this Hollywood kind of behind the scenes ish. You know, you already have the influence. You got 1 million followers on social media. Imagine what it's going to do for your brand, your personal brand. It's like all of this fake bullshit. The reality is, this kid's an influencer by virtue of his name and his video game play and his high school basketball play being heavily like popularized. But he wasn't even the best player on his high school team. Certainly was not even in the top three best players on his college team. Kid's just not really he's a basketball player. Okay, I'm a basketball player too. He's just not really good. He's not good enough to be an NBA player. But to use his influence to put him in this spotlight, it just means that as you get all this other stuff. And he's playing on the most historical and talked about like one of the most growing historical franchises. It's just like a man, look at all the things that we can do. Look at all the potential. Look at all the possibility. It's a fucking clown show. It's a clown show. It's a clown show. That is why I call it a clown show. It's a clown show. It's a fucking clown show, guys. Wild. The mention of Bronny as an influencer hung in the air. The public and media have spent about 95% of their oxygen on this, one Western Conference executive said. The league has spent about 5% of its oxygen on this. It's a story for people who are invested in entertainment. It is a cool story that LeBron gets to play with his son, but at the end of the day, you have to separate LeBron from his son at some point and make sure that his son has an opportunity to have a long-term career and not just 15 minutes of white hot fame. This is just about the 15 minutes of fame, man. That's literally what it's about right now. It's about the 15 minutes of fame. And unfortunately, the only casualty in this 15 minutes of fame game that they're playing right now is going to be Bronny James. He's going to be the only casualty. You see how it almost feels like they're trying to get ahead of it already by Rich Paul saying, well, this is Bronny's decision and Bronny's decision alone. And I just did, you know what I mean? Like, what? I mean, I'm Uncle Rich. You know what I'm saying? Like, nephew, what you trying to do? Man, they talking about not drafting you. Talking about not drafting you. What do you want to do? Oh, well, I want to hear my name called Uncle Rich. All right. Okay. Uncle Rich going to make it happen for you, then, nephew. You don't deserve it. Said another Western Conference executive. His success or failure as a basketball player needs to be measured over a length of time that social media and media won't give him. People will pass judgment on him negatively faster because they're just seeing so much of him. And that's really unfair. Every other player with his level of preparedness has gotten more time because people just don't give a shit. He's not going to get the benefit of that. I said this in a previous interview to that point. It's unfair, man, that anybody, Bronny or anybody else, is judged and scrutinized at every level of their progression as they go about to try and get better and work to get better at a thing, a skill, a job, anything. You know what I mean? Learning, development, growing. It's really unfair to scrutinize you at every single step. It's really bad. It's terrible. You know what I mean? But this is a byproduct of injecting him into this space where he doesn't belong. It's a byproduct of that. You have subjected this kid to this kind of scrutiny, which is unfair to Bronny James, yo. Paul says he knows Bronny isn't the first player to enter the draft with concerns he wasn't ready. There have been lottery picks who didn't reach their second contract, Paul said, and undrafted players who earned a max contract. There's no perfect answer, but making the NBA is what Bronny wanted. That's his dream. And as long as he achieves his dream, that's all that matters, right? Bullshit. And once Bronny made that decision, Paul said it was his job to help Bronny land on a team that would show a real investment in development. And the best way to show that investment is through the lens of guaranteed money, Paul said. That's right. Yeah. And the best way to show that investment is through the lens of guaranteed money. That is why he got that 4-year, $7.9 million contract. It's like, nah, we don't just want you to say you'll draft him. Now, we want to know for sure that you're going to be serious about doing this. Give him a big contract that locks him in for a couple years to show that you are vested financially in making sure that he's around long enough for you to give him some time to develop. So it's not necessarily about the money going to Bronny. Bronny need the money to buy his mama a house, get his mama out the hood. They billionaires. He's born into money. He didn't need the money personally. His NIL deal, they said, would have made him as much money or more money Name, image, likeness deal in the NCAA would have made him more money this season than his NBA contract. So this ain't about the NBA money, but for Rich Paul it is, because Rich gets commission. Dusty. But Paul also knows the questions about the pairing with LeBron will be unending. I think the sooner we can get past it, the better. Paul said. I think the sooner we can get past it, the better. How are we gonna get past it? It's a sideshow. It's a clown show. It's a circus act. This is the web that you've spooled, and you're like, the sooner we can get past them playing together. And look, there's a world where Bronny will look back on it, and his dad will be done playing, and he'll appreciate his willingness to lean in to playing with his dad because it's a cool thing. Whichever way you want to flip the mirror, it's a cool thing. But for right now, where the two are at, I think it's even cooler for his dad. It's so much cooler for his dad than it is for Bronny. After Sunday's preseason game, LeBron expressed joy in playing alongside his son. For a father, it means everything, LeBron said. For someone who didn't have that growing up, to be able to have that influence on your kids and have influence on your son, be able to have moments with your son, and ultimately to be able to work with your son, I think that's one of the greatest things that a father can ever hope for or wish for. You're right. That's that's super dope. But just in working with my children, I don't only just want to work with them. I want to instill in them hard work and what it takes to get to the top. So I don't just want to give them opportunities that they don't deserve and then have them crap on the opportunity because they can never respect it. They don't know what it's like to work hard to obtain it. So getting in this space, they just feel like, it is what it is. I ain't really want to do this anyway. I really want to go play some video games. My dad forced me to kind of be here. So, man, look, I'm just here. I'm just here to collect the paycheck so I don't get yelled at. Still, doubt remains. I think there's a foundation of a defensive-minded combo guard there, but we never get to see it bloom. One Western Conference executive said, with a different last name, we're not having this conversation. That's just a fact. His resume is light at best. He got here because of his last name. Now it's time to see and grade that decision. We'll be able to grade it in 3 years, but if it doesn't involve serious, dedicated G League time, I don't think he has a chance. During Summer League, Redick said in interviews that Bronny would indeed spend time in the G League with the team South Bay Lakers, and later added in an ESPN broadcast with Zach Lowe that the G League is not a demotion. I look at it, the South Bay Lakers, as an extension of our team. During Media Day, LeBron added, we're all one team. We're a reflection of the South Bay, and South Bay is a reflection of us. Pause. Rich Paul literally is on record saying, as they enter Bronny's name into the draft, and they begin to hear all this scuttle that maybe he will not be drafted. People weren't really checking for him, or the folks that were checking for him were just asking inquisitively, hey, man, look, well, what kind of thing are we going to be working out or with him deal-wise? You know what I mean? Maybe we could see picking him up and signing him to a two-way contract. Oh, we're not interested in any two-way contracts. He's gonna be an NBA player. If you're gonna sign him to an NBA deal, you're gonna sign him to an NBA deal. He will not be going back and forth to no G League and then up here, then to the G League. That's not what my client doing. He need a real contract. Funny that he signed that 4-year, $7.9 million contract with the Lakers, and he's still going back and forth down to the G League. That's something. All of a sudden, now the G League ain't so bad. Ronnie's trash. The fact that Bronny is represented by Clutch, the same agency that also represents his father and Lakers star Anthony Davis, creates the expectation the team needs to devote every available resource to developing Bronny, and that if the Lakers fault in doing so, then they'd no doubt earn the ire of LeBron and Clutch. Do you potentially end up burning a bridge with Clutch and Rich if it doesn't work out? One Eastern Conference scout said. What it comes down to is, the scout asked, is the juice worth the squeeze? Rich Paul must be stopped. Yo, the shenanigans of Clutch Sports over the years, it's utter. I can't believe that the NBA has not put their foot down yet, bro, to stop some of this bullshit. From Anthony Davis signing a huge contract and demanding to get out of there and to head right to the Lakers, where his other highest Clutch client and LeBron James is, so that they can become team. It's fucking bullshit. This joker must be stopped. It's time for them to put an end to all this silliness, bro. Like, I get it. You're doing a thing. You're a power broker in this thing and that thing. But there's some things that's all money ain't good money. All people ain't good people. I figure out a way to get this dude out of here, man, or put a fucking leash on him. And I ain't saying it's just, oh, you're mess up a black man coins, you down, mess up. It ain't got nothing to do with black and white. It has everything to do with integrity. It has everything to do with keeping antics down and not making black people look bad. Others who might be coming up, starting similar companies to represent NBA or sports athletes in general, entertainers in general. What kind of precedents are you setting? Relax, bro. Like, do shit proper. That's how to be done like this. We can all see that it's foul, bro. You moving weird, sucker. Several league executives expect this first season to be especially challenging for Bronny, that the constant noise will be nearly impossible to quiet. He's got to have very thick skin, one Eastern Conference executive said. He may have it just because he's had to deal with the spotlight all his life. Paul says he believes that to be the case. If anyone can handle it, it's him, Paul said. I told Bronny, it's admirable to me that you're choosing to even go through this process. You don't have to put yourself through this. But Bronny chose this path, which Paul appreciates. You don't have to go through this. You ain't got to do this. Now, I admire him for even wanting to do it because it's fucking crazy. This is why you admire him, because you know it's ridiculous. To me, we should be looking at this kid and saying, man, that's admirable, Paul said. But because you're judging him with one eye on him and one eye on his dad and how you feel about his dad, good, bad, or indifferent, you critique him at a different level. Ain't nobody critiquing Bronny James at a different level. We are critiquing him at the level that you guys have put him at. At the level that you guys have put him at. We are critiquing Bronny James at the level that you guys have put him at. He ain't earned his way here. So you put him up here, and we're just critiquing what you have put in front of us. What you keep touting to us as something that we need to be looking at. So we're critiquing what we see, and we're letting you know we don't see much of nothing. It's your fault. Fuck out of here. That level, one Western Conference executive said, will be extreme. The hot take culture we're in and people's desire to pass judgment powerfully one direction or another means you're going to have people saying things like, one of the biggest failures of all time, and he only got the chance because of his dad, the executive said. The haters will get louder when they know his results have dictated that. That's the thing. That's so unfair because the bar should have never been set so high. He will have failed on a greater scale than anybody else, even if he succeeds in meeting his potential. That's the thing that I think sucks. That's so true. First of all, the bar should never have been set this high for this kid, but LeBron James making these weird ass comments like, he low key better than when watching on League Pass. It's hilarious, lightweight hilarious. Oh, he could play on the Lakers right now. Hell, the bar should never have been set for a guy this high. And I mean, like I was saying earlier, like this article just stated, maybe he's worked his ass off, and maybe this is his ceiling. And so even if there are levels above, which I think that there are levels above where he can get better through constant work and repetition. But even if it doesn't amount to him being all-star caliber good player and he reaches his potential, that won't be good enough. That won't be good enough for people because of the bar being set so far by dumbass comments from his dad and his handlers. You guys are setting this kid up for failure, literally, with this clown show shit. Chill. Seriously. Chill. While one could suggest that Bronny's health scare robbed him of time to develop, Paul offers another view that the incident created a sense of urgency. So, you're talking about time. Fuck time, Paul said. The time is now. Let me back up. While one could suggest that Bronny's health scare robbed him of the time to develop, Paul offers another view. Ain't nobody arguing that his cardiac situation like robbed him of some time to develop. For USC played 28 games. Bronny played 25 of the 28 games. It's 3 games, something like that, bro. Or he played in 23 games. They played in 28. They played 28, so something like that. I can't remember the exact stats. I stated it in the last video. He missed maybe 5 games of the season. You're not telling me, or suggesting to me that in those 5 games, that 5 games of time and the practice that led up to it were the thing that still has Bronny presently playing like absolute shit. And if you are suggesting that to me, then get off this channel, get off the internet. You are What's Wrong with Sports sports media and people just being like just having logical conversation. Ridiculous. If that is your position, you are an idiot. Seriously. Seriously. The cardiac situation cannot be continually used as some excuse if it's not stopping him from actually getting on court and playing, which medical doctors have cleared him to get out there and play. So you can't use that as some goddamn excuse. Stop using it. It sounds stupid. It sounds stupid. The time is now. Rich Paul says. He says, so you're talking about time? Fuck time. The time is now. That's what it was really about. It's like, yo, I can understand. I can be touched by the health scare, especially for your child. To be in the hospital and to have your child in the hospital and man, to not know what was going on, to have doctors telling you all kinds of shit and then having to bounce back. I can be touched by that as a parent myself. I get it, yo. I get it. 100%. I get it. And I can understand how that would create an urgency that just says, man, we got to accelerate the plans to do everything that we were going to do because nobody's promised tomorrow. We don't have time to be delaying things and putting things off. Let's do it now. I can understand that is the driving force for this, but it still don't make it right. Still makes it weird. Still has created this space where this kid's been elevated into a space that he doesn't deserve to be in. So he's going to get this smoke. He's going to get this scrutiny. He's going to be talked about like every other player. He's going to be analyzed like every single other player. He's not going to be given a fair shot in so doing to actually develop into the player that he can be because of the space that you guys have elevated into. He says he believes there are no downsides to Bronny's decision, no cons. Rich Paul says he believes there are no downsides to Bronny's decision, no cons. What level of delusion? What land of la-la these motherfuckers living in, bro? How detached do you have to be to even go on record and say some dumb shit like that? How smoked does your brain have to be for you to even what? No downsides, no cons. This almost rings to me like they don't give a fuck about Bronny, bro. They don't care about this kid's mental health long term. They don't care what this is going to do to him emotionally long term. They have no cares. None, bro. No real ones. There's only pros, Paul said. He's the first player to have, or rather to only have pros. Propaganda, dumbass shit that an agent would say without weighing it, without balancing it. You just sound fucking stupid. There's only pros, Paul said. He's the first player to only have pros. He's the first player to only have pros, no cons to him wanting to come into the league. The first player. It is back in his office. Paul leaned back on the couch and seemed at ease. One of the league's biggest power brokers passionately defended Bronny, batting away criticisms and concerns and countering others. He imagined the season ahead, eager for a front row seat to history. It's all about the way it's handled, he said, a smile spreading across his face. If it's handled the right way, beautiful. Rich Paul, you are a clown. You are an utter clown. You are an utter clown, bro. I have zero respect for how you guys are handling this situation. I have zero respect for the fake spin that you're putting on it. I have zero respect for how smart you guys think that you are to do something like this and have us just like, oh, go along with it. And Stephen A. Smiths that are clowns as well. Fuck all of y'all, bro. You're idiots. You're gaslighting us and be like, oh, if y'all got something to do, LeBron's earned this. Anybody got something to say is a hater. No, you're a hater. You are a hater. Calling me a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater on reality. So you got to spin this fake world of reality. It's for us. And if we don't like it, then somehow it's our fault for not buying the bullshit that you're trying to spin us. We don't like it. It ain't real. We enjoy real. You guys ain't it. That's been the basis of this episode, man. I just wanted to say that. Apologies for any kids who are watching. I'm from the East Coast, man. I can't help it. The profanity just starts flying out after a while. But this clown show that is swirling around, you know what I mean, this whole media circus, etc., around Bronny James, man, it's just not cool. And there are multiple angles, you know what I mean, to approach it from based on the fuel that his handlers, his dad, Pelinka, Rich Paul, and JJ Redick and others are they just continue to just give us so much to dislike about the situation. While we really want to see Bronny do well, they're making it. You guys are making it hard, bro. Calm down. Have a seat. You know what I really appreciate? I appreciate that after the summer league ended, we ain't hear shit about Bronny James. That's the way it probably should be. It should be people bringing up like, yo, I wonder how well Bronny's going to do, or I wonder what Bronny's going to be doing next. Not ESPN, the television network, not even through the print publications outside of this article by Baxter. Trying to spin for us on the network how him scoring 2 points and grabbing 3 rebounds or getting a block shot was just the most amazing thing that we've ever seen in the history of basketball. Chill, bro. All y'all need to chill. All of you need to relax. Let this kid's story develop naturally. He deserves that, respectfully, if nothing else. So that's been the basis of this episode, man. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Opinion Stated. Once again, like this video if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel. I look forward to kicking it with you in the next video. Until then, blessings.